Fellow Toastmasters, dear guests, good evening. I will tell you now about a small story about the seven sisters. Not the ones that seven Oklahoman brothers were so eagerly looking for to marry, but the seven oil companies that dominated the world trade of oil from post-war World War II up until 1973. There are two accounts of these companies. The canonical account that I researched and got in Wikipedia, and by which I will ask your forgiveness because I will be reading. I didn't have the time to prepare a visual aid, is that after the nationalization of the Iranian crude exploration that until then was done by a privately owned company, the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, the head of the State Department of the US feared that the flow of oil would stop due to the commercial embargo over the Iranian oil, suggested that the biggest oil companies should reach an agreement should reach terms so they could provide the world and stabilize the market. I recall you, this is the canonical version. So the companies were the Anglo-Persian Oil Company, which later became British Petroleum, or BP, that still exists today. Gulf Oil, which later, with the Southern California Oil, made one of the biggest oil companies in the world, Chevron. Royal Dutch Shell, which everyone knows, it's Shell Company. From Holland, the Standard Oil of California, which merged with Gulf Oil to form Chevron. The Standard Oil of New Jersey, United States, that became Exxon and later ExxonMobil. The Standard Oil of the Company of New York, which then became Mobil and merged with Exxon. And Texaco, which was acquired by Chevron. From these seven original sisters, from these original seven companies, there are today four. The term was coined by the manager of Eni, the oil company from Italy, after he went to a meeting with them asking to be a part of the conglomerate and a part of the cartel, but he was not allowed to. So it's all, those are the seven sisters, which was kind of a pejorative way of him asking, they don't let me play because I'm not big enough. So, these seven companies, throughout the 1940s up until the oil crisis of 1973, produced and controlled the distribution of 85% of the world oil. 85% of the world oil in seven companies. 1973 came the oil crisis, made by a new cartel, OPEC. OPEC was formed by the largest producers of oil, the national companies, mainly from the Middle East. These seven sisters began to lose their grasp on the oil company, or apparently so. And now, after a few more years, after 40 years, there are new seven sisters rising, all of them nationally owned companies, starting with China National Petroleum Corporation, which owns PetroChina, Gazprom from Russia, National Iranian Oil Company, Petrobras, PDVSA from Venezuela, Petronas from Malaysia, and Saudi Aramco of Saudi Arabia. These are the new world leaders that control 1/3 of the world production of gas and 1/3 of the world production of oil. But by all means, this is the canonical tale. Nothing more to do. In 1975, I will have to read this, Anthony Sampson wrote The Seven Sisters, the Great Oil Companies and the World They Shape. Based on this book and several accounts of several investigative journalists, Al Jazeera made a documentary divided in 4 parts, telling the tale, a different tale. And this is the apocryphal tale. It's a much more obnubilated story that tells the tale of how these seven companies put dictators in several countries, how they were so large, so powerful that they subjected to their will the producers from the third world country. They put the Shah Reza Pahlavi in Iran to control the flow of Iranian oil. They supported and they waged a war between Iran and Iraq so that the oil would steadily flow at cheap prices because both countries were deemed to destroy each other and needed the money. They needed the money fast to buy weapons that the countries of these same companies would sell them back to them. So it was the perfect business. They would buy cheap and then sell them the goods later. For example, Nigeria, which is one of the largest producers of oil in Africa, doesn't have a structure that could refine the oil, so they buy back petroleum refined products such as gasoline at a much more increased price than they sell the oil to the same companies. So this is actually a much dark story. This is the apocryphal. You can search on the internet by the Al Jazeera and the Seven Sisters, and you can all watch the same tale. As in everything, there are two sides of the story: the official, the canonical, and the apocryphal. One tells a straight story of straight business people with the world functioning in mind, and the other tells a story of exploiters only looking for fast and big profit. The truth, as in all everything, maybe lies in the middle. Truth, conspiracy theory, it's yours to decide. Thank you.